Hello. Thanks for joining class again, or if you're brand new, thanks for joining for your first time. As always, we'll start with a short meditation. So you can start seated on the floor. You can lie back on your mat. If you're sitting in a chair, feel free to either sit way back in the chair or towards the front of your chair. We just want to make sure that we feel safe and supported in whatever shape we're in. So finding a comfortable shape. And then as you get into that shape, just taking a moment to transition, just letting go of your morning, practicing trying to let go of what we have to do this afternoon. Just coming a little more into the awareness of the present moment. So it might be helpful to find an anchor. And as you find your anchor, that might be your body, really connecting and feeling your body. Some of us might find the anchor through our breath. Feeling, noticing your breath. Each one of us, right? Very, very different. And each one of us will have our own anchor. So we're just going to take a few short moments to connect to your anchor. Bringing awareness. Bringing kindness to your anchor and settling. It's an opportunity to slow down. An opportunity to be curious with kindness, noticing. As we notice, blending, right, what we notice with our anchor. It's easy to drift away. Sometimes we notice a thought and we follow the thought. Might notice a feeling and follow the feeling. The feelings and the thoughts might take us into a place of distraction or a place outside of our bodies. And that's all okay, right? If that happens, so fine. It's an opportunity over and over to come back with curiosity and kindness to your anchor. To feel a connection to your anchor. To find a union, a connection, and be with your anchor, a part of what is anchoring you. As we notice and feel and connect, just guiding your attention and your awareness to your breathing. There's no need to force or even try here to control your breathing. There's a lot of benefit in allowing your body to breathe very naturally and authentically. And to have a little or a lot more awareness, curiosity on the feelings of your breath. What do you feel when you take an inhale? What do you feel when you take an exhale? I'm just going to pause in silence for a few breaths, maybe 5 to 8 to 10 breaths here. Giving yourself an opportunity to listen and feel and experience each breath. A few more breaths right here. And then as you take 2 more exhales, just connecting to your exhale, letting all the air out. I'm going to bring some attention to the physical body and using your physical body in relationship to the space around you for awareness and this practice of embodiment, of staying a little more present in your body, right? So sometimes something in our body might come up that is a little uncomfortable, right? And we'll feel that uncomfortableness. And some of us might stay in the body and try and kind of feel and befriend that place of being uncomfortable. And others of us, right, will feel that uncomfortable feeling and we might just drift right away out of our body. It might not feel safe, okay? So we're just going to play with that in a really gentle, curious, loving way today because, right, sometimes when we move the body through different classes, right, or different exercises, it doesn't always feel really, really great. And so learning, right, to really stay a little more present in our bodies with that idea and that philosophy of embodiment, and also, right, to really challenge ourselves to like say, what do I feel in my body, and understanding ourselves and feeling ourselves with more awareness and also just a lot more loving kindness. All right. So being open to what we feel and right, being a little more open, like if it hurts, stop, right? If it hurts, be patient with yourself. Maybe give yourself like a nice, sweet internal hug. Okay, so we're going to push ourselves a little more today, but we also really want to pay attention to how we're pushing. Okay, so we're going to start. If you're lying back, we're going to come on up and come to sitting. So if you're sitting in your chair, you can hang out in your chair. If you're sitting, we're going to bring your feet out in front of you. Okay, so if you're sitting in your chair, you're going to have your feet out in front. And we're just going to sit up. So, right, if you're sitting up here, you're going to come on the back of your sit bones. Okay, so you can feel the top of those sit bones and then just kind of slide back. Okay, you can hold on to the back of your legs. Right, if you're sitting in the chair, hands on your knees. Okay, so if you're sitting here, hands behind you, and we're just going to settle and take a moment just to feel the shape you're in. Right, you just made a big body transition, so getting attention and awareness. What do you feel, right, as you just sit right here? What does it feel like to take a nice full inhale? What does it feel like to take a nice long exhale? And then, right, feeling in our body, ears, shoulders, your ribs, and your hips. Okay, so we're going to use these 4 points to help us stay more attentive to the body experience. Okay, so we're holding on, and then we're going to sit back as far as we feel comfortable. You might straighten your arms and you might not, but when you sit back, you want to check back in. Ears in relationship to shoulders, in relationship to ribs, in relationship to hips. And then you're going to exhale and use your arms and your upper back to pull you back up. Okay? So you're going back. Slow is going to be a little more challenging. Connect to your ears, your shoulders, your ribs, your hips. And then using your upper back muscles, right? Your triceps and your core to pull you up, okay? This is what it looks like on the floor. Okay, and we're going to keep doing a few of those nice and slow, right? If you're in your chair, you can come to the front of your chair. You can straighten your legs a little bit. Hold on to the side of your legs and go back and pull yourself up, okay? So let's try 3 to 5 more. Sometimes the longer we go, it takes a little more challenge to really stay present in our body. So it can be practice, right, of a repetitive motion, movement, and trying to stay connected. So the last one is you come back up. You're going to add a little challenge. Okay, so that challenge of feeling your body in space, right? I get this request a lot, like, what am I supposed to feel when I do that? Right? Or I can't feel that in my own body. So we're going to practice feeling our bodies, right? So as you're sitting up here on the back of your sit bones, right? You can feel your sit bones. Can you feel your ears over your shoulders? What does that feel like in space? Maybe you over-exaggerate taking your ears forward, right? Or maybe you exaggerate really pulling your head back. So you can feel, right, that connection. And you can probably notice, right, you have to move with concentration and control to really feel what's happening. And then when you feel your ears a little more over your shoulders, you can pause, right? And then what does it feel like to have your shoulders, right, a little more over your ribs, right? And maybe what you do is put your hands down and push your ribs forward and back a little bit to feel the rib cage. Right? Oh, that's what it feels like to push my ribs in front of my shoulders, right? And going the other way. Oh, that's what it feels like to take my shoulders in front of my ribs, right? So just connecting these pieces in your body. And then as you're going forward, backward, or moving things around, then can you come back and stack things a little more, like ears back over shoulders, shoulders over ribs. Ribs a little more in line with your pelvis. So we have this nice connection. We're going to use this connection, right? Either hands on the back of your legs or a little more physical challenge. Arms can come out in front and you're still sitting back. But when you go back, you want to pause when you get back there and check back in with that ear, shoulder, rib, hip connection. And then can all 3 of those places come up at about the same speed and go back. And come forward, okay? So we're gonna do a few more. You can have your balls of your feet up. You can have the balls of your feet down, okay? So, right, if you wanted even more somatic kind of body engagement and connection, what do you feel, right, in your legs when your toes are up? And what do you feel in your legs when your toes are down, right? Blending, right? All of that with ears, shoulders, ribs, and hips. There's a lot going on. Let's do 3 more. And then after 3, you're going to sit back and just pick the right challenge. Either toes up, soft wiggly toes, or toes down. Right? And then you're going to find that challenge of where do you feel strong. Make sure you're not pulling your shoulders way up, shoulders down, arms back. 3 breaths. What does it feel like to come back into your body right here and take 3 breaths? And then with your next exhale, pull yourself up from your core. Great. And then we're going to come all the way on up to standing. Okay, so if you're using a chair, you're going to come up to standing as well. Okay. You can always use the back of your chair if you need support. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start in your sumo pose, like we do a lot in these standing poses. So take your legs wide, heels in, toes out. Okay. And if you want, you could shift a little bit side to side. And just again, right, feeling, what do you notice when you shift? What changes? What stays the same? Good. One more to each side. And then, right, back to equalish weight, right side to left side. And then like we were doing just in that last exercise, what's the relationship of your ears right now to your shoulders? Your shoulders to your ribs to your pelvis. So using your body as an anchor can help us stay embodied, help us stay in the physical body. We're going to go up and down. So when you go up and down nice and slow, ears, shoulders, ribs, and hips. Maybe they're in a line, right? Maybe your head's a little bit forward. Maybe your ribs are going forward. Noticing, right, is the first step, awareness. And if you notice your head's pitched forward or your ribs are pitched forward, right, then maybe we work on bringing the head back and the ribs down and in. Next time you come down, we're gonna pause. If you want more challenge here, you're gonna lift your heels just to a piece of paper. And we're just gonna challenge ourselves to hold the squat for about a count of 10. So you're just gonna count to 10 slowly, right, in your head or out loud. And then come all the way up after you counted to 10 and pause. Good, and step your feet together. Okay, if you're using a chair and you're tired, you can, switch the chair around and have a seat. We're gonna stand here for just a moment, bring the attention, bring the awareness back into your body. Okay, and then that midline awareness, ears, in space over shoulders. Shoulders back a little more in line with the ribs. Ribs drawing down and back a little more in line with your hips. So as we have this awareness, right, we're going to stand up if you're in the chair. We're going to build your high lunge. So we're going to build it by bringing your left knee up and swinging your left leg back. Okay, so when you build your high lunge, if you need your chair, right, flip it around and hold on. Okay, so when you build your high lunge, make sure your left heel's lifted. And then as you're building it, what's your relationship to your body and space here? Using the ears to help us keep an awareness, using the shoulders, shoulders over ribs, ribs over hips, right? And maybe you push your ribs really far forward or your head really far forward so you can work again like we did on the floor. There's that relationship. What do you notice? How do you feel it? Staying connected to feeling, breathing through your body, right? And then when you feel it's pretty stacked, bring your hands to your hips. And then we're gonna bend your right knee a little deeper. And we're gonna push down and straighten your right leg, okay? So as we go up and down a few times, what's moving and what's staying stable? Next time your right knee's bent, pause. An opportunity, right? Here comes your body scan again. So coming back into your body, what's the relationship of your ears to your shoulders, to your ribs, to your hips? And then we're gonna feel 3 breaths. With your third exhale, a little more weight in the front foot, and we're going to step both feet together. Shake it out. From shaking it out, find your baseline again, right? In your mountain pose, standing, right? Mindful movements come from a place of being grounded and supported, okay? So relationship of ears to shoulders, to ribs to hips. And then your right knee lifts and you build your high lunge, stepping your right foot back. Take a moment, right? Really set up a strong supportive foundation. And then again, that relationship of your body and space using your ears, your shoulders, your ribs, your hips. Right? And maybe you overcompensate some movements just to feel, oh, that's what it is to have my ears in front of my shoulders. And ooh, that's what it feels like to have my ears a little bit back over my shoulders. Right? Moving and exploring, right? Again, if it feels really uncomfortable, noticing that. Maybe you organize and work through some of the feelings of uncomfort. Maybe you stop and you pause because it really feels uncomfortable. That's okay. Okay? So hands come to your hips. With all that awareness, we're going to bend the left knee a little more. Push down and straighten. You're going to do just a couple more. At your own pace, maybe you only bend a little bit. Good, let's try two more. And then on the second one, right, when the left knee's bent, I'm gonna pause. You can do a short body scan, coming back into your body to the present moment with your breath, right? More challenging is gonna take the arms up. I'm gonna take 3 breaths. If that's too challenging, fingertips, right? Or hands on your hips. Exhale, push a little more into your left foot, step both feet together. Shake things out, then come back to your baseline. Great, and I'm going to take a wide stride again, okay? So if you're using a chair, you're going to have a wide stride. If you need to hold on to the chair with your wide stride, it's going to be like this, right? Or you can put the chair like this behind your right leg, okay? So heels are going to come back in, toes are going to go back out. Right, I'm going to use that midline idea again, ears and shoulders, ribs, hips. Okay, soften in your knee. Okay, now we're going to bring your arms out in front of you. And we're going to work on just opening through the chest. So you're going to take your arms out like a Y and then like a T, then like a Y and then back in. Okay, so as we go out, incrementally bigger or wider, what's your relationship to your ears, shoulders, ribs, and hips? Right? When your arms come out, are you pushing your chest forward? Right? When your arms come out here, is your head going forward? So what's that relationship, ears, shoulders, ribs, and hips, as you do 2 more? Good. And then when your arms come out in front of you, you're going to go up to the ceiling. Okay. And then, again, what's that relationship? Ears, shoulders, ribs, hips, right? It's really easy for me in my body, which is really different than yours. But when my arms come up, it's really easy for me to push my chest forward. So I have to have a little more mindfulness when my arms come up. Let's just try 2 more. Arms go up and arms come down. And then we'll straighten the legs if they were bent. Good, and arms come down. Okay, so have that wide stride. Maybe your chair's in front. Right leg can be right at the seat of the chair. Left leg is gonna roll in. Right leg's gonna roll out. We're gonna pause for a moment. And this time we're gonna go up the ladder. So hips in relationship to ribs, to shoulders, to ears, right? And maybe you exaggerate some things just to feel those 4 parts. Maybe you take your pelvis back a little bit or tip your pelvis forward, right? Maybe you pull your shoulders back, right? So then, right, as you gain that attention, you can start to feel, oh yeah, there's my ears and they're coming back in line with my shoulders over my ribs. Yeah, and then when you feel that things are, in a line, we're gonna bend your right knee a little bit and see what that feels like. And then we're gonna straighten it 2 more times. Third time your right knee's bent, we're gonna pause. I'm gonna do like a 2-breath body scan just so we can come back into our bodies. And we're gonna bring your arms out in front of you. Ears, shoulders, ribs, hips. And then we're gonna open the arms into that warrior 2, but we're only gonna go like to a Y, okay? We're not going to the full T today, okay? And then we're gonna just settle. Shoulders can soften, maybe your head draws back. You can feel your ribs in relationship to your hips. Just notice 2 breaths. And your right fingers, we're gonna just wiggle them so we go, yeah, there's my right fingers. We're gonna bend and bring your right fingers into this hip crease. Okay, now when you exhale, you're gonna tip over your fingers. If you have the chair there, you can put the hand on your chair. Okay, then we're just gonna assess again, reconnect ears, shoulders, ribs, hips, and then we're gonna come back up. Right, and then we're gonna do it again. We're gonna tip over. Good, and then we're gonna do it again. Good, last time. And then you're gonna decide, right? Maybe your hand's on your knee, your elbow's on your knee if you're using the chair, or maybe this right hand slides down a little bit. Just come back, using your body as an anchor, 2 full breaths. Nice, and then super strong, coming all the way back up, straightening your right leg. Switching sides, right leg rolls in, left leg rolls out. So you might have to step around if you want to use your chair. You can still have your chair back right here, holding on. Just assess, check in. You want to really build the foundation for the pose so you can start to bend and straighten. Keeping that relationship, ears, shoulders, ribs, hips. Okay. If you bend your left knee, does anything change? Do you push your head forward? Do your ribs draw forward? Just, right, moving to notice, being curious about how things are connected. We'll let the left knee bend. We'll just pause. Good, then taking your arms out in front of you, opening them like a Y, more than a T for 3 breaths. What do you notice? It's a time to come inward and just notice what you're feeling. Paying attention to how you respond. When you're ready, left hand comes into your left hip crease and we can tip over. Have the chair there if you need it. And come back up. So I'm going to be quiet and let you work right here so you can just listen to your body moving. Noticing how you respond to the feelings and thoughts that arise. Pause, either hand on the chair, right, or maybe grabbing the ankle. 3 breaths. Nice and strong, coming all the way on up. Good, and then just stepping both feet together, letting your eyes close, coming inward, taking a few breaths. Great, then we're going to step your feet wide back into your sumo. So we're gonna try and get your heart rate up a little bit higher if you want to. If you want your heart rate to be right where it is, you're gonna go slow, strong, and steady, and that might get your heart rate up too. So this is gonna be just like maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds on your own. We're gonna do sumo, but we're gonna add these arm movements, okay? So you don't have to be exact, okay? You can go down really strong and slow and come up strong and slow, right? Like you're pulling your legs together, right? Grounding, going down, right? Maybe you wanna go faster and get your heart rate up, okay? So find the rhythm. As you go up and down, you're finding your own pace. Maybe you're not bending so deep, right? And as you go faster or slower, mindful movement. What do you feel going down and up? Good, let's try for about 10 more seconds. If you're really tired, rest. Honor what's happening. Respond to what's happening, right, with kindness. Good, curiosity. Good, and then after you finish this squat, you haven't already, we're gonna step the feet together and just notice how we feel. Notice the faster heartbeat, notice the quicker breath. And can we practice staying in our bodies, right, as the heart rate, as the breath is quicker? We count 5 more breaths. And then at the end of 5 breaths, we're gonna walk to the back of our mats. Okay, if you're someone using a chair, you're gonna move the chair. I'm just gonna move it here so you can see. And you're gonna stand, right, just a little bit back behind your chair. Okay, we're gonna do some sun salutations. So the first one I'll demo will be without the chair. The second one I'll use the chair, okay? And if you need something higher, never mind, let's just do it this way. It'll get too complicated. All right, so we're gonna start at the back of the mat, settle and take 3 full rounds of breath. You might use that awareness of your ears, your shoulders, your ribs, and your hips again. And then when you notice your inhales, sweep your arms out to the side and up towards the ceiling. Good. Exhale, bend your knees, fold forward, nice and strong and long through your spine. If you're at the chair, you're folding over, putting your hands at the chair. If your fingers don't touch the floor, no big deal. It doesn't mean you're not good at yoga, okay? Just bring your hands up onto your thigh bones. Everyone, let's pause for just a moment. Take a nice full breath. What do you feel across your back? Good, and then we exhale, fold a little more and look out in front of us and walk our hands 1, 2, 3, 4 to tabletop. Right, when you get to table, pause to breathe into your back. Again, we can use that awareness of ears in line with shoulders. Shoulders a little more in line with ribs, so ribs drawing up. Hips level in line with ears. If you want more challenge here, you're gonna walk your legs back to a wide leg straight arm plank. Okay, if you want less challenge here, you're gonna push back to child's pose. Okay, if you're at a chair, you're gonna put your hands on the chair, either be in table or step back to downward facing dog. Right, if you've been in plank for a little bit, you're probably getting tired. We're all gonna come, make our way through a couple breaths to tabletop. Then you're gonna choose, right? Maybe you wanna stay in table, maybe you want child's pose, maybe you're coming up and back to downward facing dog. Okay, wherever you are, downward facing dog on your mat or at your chair. If you're in child's pose, 3 breaths. After 3 breaths with your next exhale, come back to tabletop. to downward facing dog. We all meet in downward facing dog. If dog is too hard, don't do it. It's okay. We're going to end up in standing. So you can walk your hands back to your feet. Press down. Inhale, draw your arms out and up. Exhale, hands to the side. Pause at the back of your mat. Pause at the front of your chair. Take a few breaths. Noticing your internal experience and blending that internal experience right through your body. 3 more breaths. We're going to do another sun salutation similar to that one. Inhale, arms float out to come up. Full long stretch. Exhale from the pelvis, fold forward. I'm going to do this one at the chair. So hands come to the chair if you're there. Right? If you're on the ground, maybe touching the ground, maybe your shins, maybe your knees. Breathe through your back. Exhale, maybe fold a little deeper, right? Listening and feeling, noticing. Walking your hands all the way out. If you're on your mat, walk out, find tabletop. Right? If you're at your chair, find downward facing dog at the chair. If you're on the mat, from table to plank, you can take wide legs. That's going to make your plank a little bit easier. Maybe that awareness again. Ears, shoulders, ribs, hips. So you don't want your head to drop, right? Head back, up, ears. Everyone has a place to challenge. Maybe you're in table, right? Maybe you're back in child's pose. Let's try 5 more breaths wherever you are. From plank pose, from table, from child's pose to downward facing dog. With your next exhale, walk your hands back to your feet. Inhale, come all the way on up, take a full body stretch. Exhale, hands to the side. Good, here we go, one more. Inhale, long spine, lift up. Exhale, bend your knees, fold forward. Breathe into your back, notice what you feel. Walk your hands out. Okay. Find tabletop. Notice your ears, your shoulders, your ribs, your hips. Maybe you stay in table. Maybe you take your feet out wide to a wide plank. Maybe you press back to child's pose. Pause for 3 more breaths. Right, from plank or child's pose, we come back to table. Curl the toes, lift up and back, downward facing dog for 5 breaths. Then at the end of your 5th exhale, we're gonna all come to table. Okay, so those of us on the floor, when we come to table, right, if this really hurts your wrists, you can try doing it down here on forearms for sure, okay? So we're gonna just come back to some grounding and stability, feeling, connecting. And then again, using your ears and your shoulders and your ribs and your hips just to help us stay connected to our bodies, okay? So this is what it's gonna look like on the floor here. We're gonna work a little more with extension. So if we push back, this is more flexion, right? And as we pull ourselves forward, we get open, open, opener, opener, such a great word. More opening through the front of the hip, okay? And then you can really push down, keep the arm bones back, and come to your table and push back towards a child's pose. Now, most of us are going to want to move pretty, slowly so we can really stay in a place of control. So where it gets pretty challenging is when we come forward because we don't want to drop, right? The hips or the pelvis a lot lower than the ribs. Oh, so, right, that ear, shoulder, rib pelvis or hip, it's a little more challenging in extension. So working here, we'll do about 3 to 5 more, right? Being mindful on your wrists. If your wrists start to hurt, back off, okay? And those of you at the chair probably already figured it out, right? Sorry. You're back here, and then you're coming forward. Okay? So again, mindful movements, ears, shoulders, ribs, hips. Let's try 2 more. And then when you end up back, right, you can press back to child's pose, or if you're at your chair, hands on the chair, you can come to a down dog, and we'll take about 3 breaths. Good, and then from your child's pose or your chair dog, you're gonna come either into your chair or just up to sitting. And then we're all gonna come either sit back in your chair or roll all the way back onto your back and come to constructive rest pose like we started in. Or we didn't start in constructive rest. We started here, but you're gonna come all the way back down, okay? So keeping your knees bent. When you get onto your back, just give yourself a moment again. You can relax into the floor, relax into your chair. And then let's bring your knees up over your hips. You can hold on to the back of the legs and then just straighten and bend the legs. Stretching out the back of your leg. Okay. If you straighten your legs and you want to go out and in a little bit, you could go out and in. You could add your arms. And then we'll bring everything back down, outstretch your legs. And then we're just going to take your hands and cross your hands over onto your collarbones. And just pausing in this shape for a few moments. Reconnecting to your body. Using your body here as an anchor for your awareness. What do you feel when you take an inhale? What do you feel in this moment as you take an exhale? And then when you're ready, either keeping your hands right where they are, letting your arms come down by your sides. Let's take the last couple minutes here to do what you need, right? Perhaps you want to just rest on your back in Shavasana, right? As you look ahead to the rest of your day, taking the next couple minutes to help you stay more grounded and more present in your body. So maybe you do some stretches, maybe you do meditation, maybe you take Shavasana. Just giving yourself a moment, noticing this breath. Noticing your body on the earth, the ground, holding up your body, which really allows you to release a little more. So allow gravity to connect through your bones into the ground. Let's take 3 full, light, easy breaths. When you feel it's been your third exhale, blending some movement with the awareness of stillness through parts of the body and movement in other parts of the body. Just starting some really easy movements. Maybe you make a little bit bigger, larger movements. You could take a full body stretch. You might draw your knees into your chest. And we'll just slowly make our way on up to sitting. Nice. And then when you come up to sitting, right, feeling that support through the ground, through the earth, through the chair, we can join our hands. And then before we all scatter, let's just take a moment to set an intention for ourselves for this afternoon. Right? Just coming inward, setting an intention and taking a couple of breaths. Thank you all so much again and again for showing up and taking time for self-care to do some practice together. We'll move over to Q&A, so feel free to stay for questions and answers. Namaste.